Good morning, everyone. My name is Rohit. I'm the founder and CEO of Excel Data. With me today is Sameer Narkhede, the co-founder and CEO of Data Snites. I'm very pleased to announce that Sameer and Data Snites have decided to join forces with Excel Data and build the observability solution for the modern data cloud platforms along with Excel Data and join its mission in building and bringing the best of data observability to all platforms. So, Sameer, welcome.
Thanks, Rohit. I'm really excited to be a part of this journey with Axel Data. Glad to be here.
So Samir, it's actually very interesting. How did you come about this whole proposition of building the observability platform for modern data platforms such as Snowflake, such as DBT? How did you even recognize this opportunity? How did you come about this? Were you researching about this while you were in your corporate job? What is the genesis of the origin of data science?
Yeah, so I think to me, it comes from experience. I have first-hand experience of going through these issues that are observed while architecting both the on-premise as well as a cloud-native data platform solutions, right? And so that's when I started doing this as a part of my corporate job at Nutanix. I architected quite a few products related to cloud and big data space. Did some cloud migrations, did observability, did data platforms, and that's when I decided, right, like the problems I'm facing, the expertise I've built in Snowflake-like services, I need to take that out to industry and try to solve it to other customers who are in the same space.
You have an interesting background, right? You were at Pernix Data, which was, I believe, acquired by Nutanix, and then you were leading the data platform efforts at Nutanix. And then subsequent to that, you actually dived into, and Nutanix, I believe, was a complex journey in the sense that you started with on-premise Hadoop, and then over a period of time, you started migrating towards, using Snowflake. So you've been a consumer of Snowflake, and that too right from the very early or, from the early days of Snowflake, I believe. How was that experience? What were the kind of challenges that you were seeing on the on-premise data lake side, and how did that, reduce as you went to Snowflake? What changed?
This was back in 2018, right, when we actually started playing with Snowflake. And so I call it's a we are very early adopters of Snowflake. And before that, right, we had this on-premise open source technologies that we were using: Elasticsearch, Kafka, Hadoop, Spark. And what our experience there was, the team was really spending a huge amount of time into keeping the systems operational and performant, right? And so the headaches that we were facing, and that really triggered the move, right? That triggered the move for us to even consider the cloud. And Snowflake came out to be one of the service with its decoupling of storage and compute and all the promises it was shown. And they made it really easy for us to onboard also, right? We got the POC built right off the shelf, right? AWS Marketplace. We didn't even talk to Snowflake people by that time. And then we built the solution. We built the POC in around 3 months. We're happy with the results. We went all in, built the solution in about 9 months, and then things were up and they were running, right? And so it was a very good experience. And then we also came to know about all these innovations that Snowflake brings, right? It's not only about yet another data warehouse solution. It's actually gives you more innovation, right? It's a data cloud where you can do some things which were impossible when we were on premise, right? Real-time data sharing, data marketplace. So a lot of goodness Snowflake brings along with it. And similar with the case of all the modern data stack technologies, right?
Indeed. So, you were looking for if I may say, you were looking for the easy button. Operability was a concern. And, most of the data engineers were spending too much time on just keeping the on-premise data lake operational, I believe. And that became a problem. And, Snowflake looked like that easy button. And that's why you gravitated towards that, as a solution.
Yes, absolutely, right. That's exactly what happened. I mean, the team was funded for building data applications, right? It was when we started, it was not funded for keeping the systems up and operational. And I think the effort was kind of underestimated as we went into the terabyte scale. We were ingesting terabytes of data per day. At that scale, really, you need observability. Right now, it's the term what we call. But back then, 2018, it was all operations team, right? It was all the responsibility of data engineers themselves to do it, and no external products or third-party tools were present at that point for us to even consider that thing.
Was it also your experience, how did data science come into being? Did you learn something about Snowflake which seemed to suggest that there could be, a micro level optimization within Snowflake itself? Because, from, publicly available evidence of Snowflake, I think it just works. If there is one thing that can be talked about or said about Snowflake is that it is an easy button and it just works. So were you looking for sort of micro optimizations? What kind of opportunities did you see in that particular market that prompted you to start something like data science?
Like I mentioned, right, once we moved on to Snowflake, things were fine, right? Within 9 months, the team was so happy, it was so motivated that yes, now finally we are just churning out data applications, right? Like servicing out all the needs of our internal customers that we were servicing to. But over a period of time, right, we started observing the side effects of it, right? Like I call it like a too much of good thing effect that Snowflake has created, right? And That's when, right, we saw issues at multiple layers, right? One is at the infrastructure level, even though the operational and performance issues were mitigated by Snowflake like cloud data platforms. But it's a very new innovative concept, and so the best practices which were applicable for your decade old on premise, HDFS, HBase, they are very different when you adopt Snowflake. And people, Snowflake makes it so easy, right, to spin out warehouses, to work around the issues, and really without understanding the best practices, what is the right way to do things, one starts implementing them, right? And so things work for a short term, but over a period of time, you actually realize, right, there are inefficiencies in resources that you have deployed. There are misconfigurations in your systems. There are security related issues and all these things, right? They snowball. We used to call it a snowball event, right? They snowball into a big concerns, right? It could be security concerns and mainly the cost, right? The cost was pretty much doubling every year. And so this was at the infrastructure layer, right? There are other layers at which we started observing issues, right? Once the infrastructure was ready and for the consumption, then came the point of considering what about our data, right? Do we really understand the data? Can we trust on this data? Can we rely on decisions that are being made on top of this data? And so data profiling, data discovery, data quality, these became a big issues that we need to tackle ourselves, right? And the last layer was pipeline layer observability, right? So we kind of went and democratized this data to everyone within our company, right? So it was like 6,000, 7,000 people who wanted to use this data, and at that scale, we wanted to build a self-service platform, and so the pipelines will be built by the consumer itself. They wanted to do exploratory analysis, so these pipelines were available, or they should have the capability to service those needs. And so what is the data source, right? What change did the data drift, and what are the dashboards that get affected, what are the applications that get affected by these change? And so those were all the issues that I experienced firsthand, right? And so at one point I decided that at least with the Snowflake expertise, and all these problems that I face, let's move out, start a company, we call it Data Snite, build a SaaS service. The first integration was, of course, Snowflake, and go out to the customers. We kind of onboarded couple customers, tightened out the SaaS service, showed the value that we could have even on cloud data platform, right? And so that's where That's how I went into Snowflake, into data nights.